Oh, we're going. You're not looking.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I was looking for our list of questions. Tonight's topic is
It's a surprise.
the Canter Transition. Everyone always has questions about the Canter. Everyone struggles with the Canter. Why is the Canter so hard?
I think people get scared because they're going to go fast.
The Canter is the flight gate.
It's time to go.
And this week's YouTube video was starring
Tico.
And you.
I think Carolyn told me I'm doing the snowman. No. I'm doing the 20-meter circle with the 10-meter circle.
The ice cream cones.
I'm doing the ice cream cones?
Into the Canter.
Into the Canter.
Yes.
Okay.
Why is that a good exercise to help with your Canter transition?
I like it just because it changes the balance from one side to the other side. And then as you're making the turn, it helps the horse get into that lead.
I can't see your eyes. What's the difference with, why is the snowman into Canter? How is that different from the snowman?
Less runway.
And
the bend comes sooner, right? So you're bending one way, you got to stride to get straight, you're bending the other way, and you got to go. With this ice cream cone, you have that half diagonal to get ready.
Kind of. I think they're different variations of a similar idea. And I feel like in the ice cream cones, you have more time in between your transitions and in between, you have more trotting time. Right. So it gives you a little bit more, like you said, I guess a little bit more runway.
There's more runway.
And I think wasn't there one part in the video where Tico got a little tense on you, perhaps?
Yeah, he did. I mean, I don't know. It was a few months ago when we did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember there was a moment where I just was like, and you just ride through this like it never happened or something like that, right?
And bend him to the inside and move him off your inside leg and then keep going.
And crack on. Be very British about it and crack on.
Yes. What other exciting things do we have going on? So next Thursday is already Thanksgiving, which is kind of crazy. So I think Nicole's going to do a live. I think we're taking the afternoon off. But I always like Thanksgiving. I think it's a good time to just reflect a little bit on things that you're grateful for. And
for us, it's nice because we could go to the barn and nobody's there.
That's true. We'll probably have to do blanketing because we like to give our groom the day off. But what are you grateful for this Thanksgiving? Everything?
My life is gold. I got no complaints, but my life's amazing. So
yes. We have dogs, we have horses, we have health.
I've got
happiness,
hot water, and I got food in the refrigerator, and my house didn't burn down, my horses didn't burn down. I mean,
yes. So next week coming up, we're going to be doing, you don't know this yet, but we're going to be doing kind of a series of live sessions about all the things that we're grateful for. And we would love to also hear from you about what you're grateful for. If you want to post in our Facebook group, Amelia's Dressage Club, or you can post it here in the chat, one thing that you're grateful for. But it's so important in life to just reflect on the things that you're grateful for and to try to look at the glass half full instead of half empty, because it's easy to get a little bit down on things. So next week's Thanksgiving. Other things is, so we tried today to do a live ride from the barn for our Strides group. That's one thing that we're going to start doing for those of you who are in Strides every month, is do a live ride, because it's kind of more of a homey feeling, right? It's like you are there in the arena. I get to talk through everything I'm working on. Maybe Herman will do a live ride or a live lesson. Let us know in the chat if you think
we'll do that.
A live lesson. That would be fun. We could do a live lesson of Herman teaching me. But anyways, I didn't give myself enough time to get everything set up because I'm always trying to cram
10 pounds of things in a 5-pound bag.
Yes.
There's another way to say that. But...
And then there was some problems with the link. And eventually, though, we got it to work. It worked really well. And so what we did is we got a Starlink, which is a satellite Wi-Fi system.
Because the Wi-Fi is slow. We live out,
yes.
we're out in the farm country, so the Wi-Fi is slow. It's still like dial-up or something out there.
It's not that slow, but
it's not fast enough to do
horses,
this.
right? Because for the horses, you need it to be really fast, so it's not all jerky. But
So
it works really well.
What's it called? The Starlink. We got the Starlink, and it works terrific. But we didn't have power, and we did it in a different place.
So we're gonna start doing that every single month in strides. And I'm looking forward to it.
Betsy wins. It will
be
I'm just
fun.
saying, Betsy wins.
Betsy says she's grateful for our online courses.
Betsy wins.
Betsy got to see the live ride. Awesome. So some people found us because we had to go onto a different link. Anyways, okay, so questions. First question is from Molly. We know Molly from the championships. Her question about canter is for how to create jump in the canter, and why do you ride shoulder 4 in the canter to create more jump? That's a good question. Why do you ride shoulder 4 in the canter to create more jump?
Because it places the inside hind leg more underneath the center of gravity, and then it can push off of that leg better. If not, the inside hind is to the inside.
Yeah.
And then the energy isn't really traveling enough through. I mean, yeah, you're still cantering, but it's not enough to get it through to the bridle.
And shoulder 4 also puts your horse more uphill, which is really important, because if your horse is crooked, like if the haunches are in and you try to create more jump, they're just going to go onto the forehand and get longer, which is not what you want when you're creating more jump in the canter. Did you see Carolyn's comment there?
The other night in office hours, did you say, Amelia, you did it?
I can't believe I said that. So last week during Facebook Live, we went over all the Hermanisms. If you missed last week's Facebook Live, by the way,
it was pretty funny, apparently.
We always make these into a podcast. So join Dressage with Amelia. That's the name of my podcast, and you can hear last week's. Okay. Next question is, where should your legs be during the canter? That's a good question. As a rider, where should your legs be during canter?
My inside leg's at the girth. The outside one's slightly back,
but not clamped on.
Right. They're just hugging. They're just near. I read it, and I can't remember the book I read it, but you're supposed to be able to feel the horse's hair through your boot. Right. So you're just there touching.
Yeah.
Then you can use them, and then they're there.
And why is it important that you have inside leg at the girth and outside leg behind the girth?
Well, because you need the bend. Now, this is where it's really important that the horse is through, right? Because if your legs are there and the horse isn't through, now you're just making a pretzel. So if the horse is actually through, right? Yes. If it's through going forward, then where your legs are, the outside leg will guard the haunches and not let it go sideways. And then the inside leg will ride that energy forward to the bridle.
And you want to have your legs in that position also for flying changes later on. Like that's also why it's important, is because your leg position is what determines.
Right. So this is the right lead. Well, I'm moving my hands. This is the right lead if your legs are here, and then this is the left leg, the left lead if your legs are here.
Yeah. And sometimes when you try to straighten your horse, I was riding one of my horses today, and I was trying to make him really straighten the canter and really shoulder 4. And he was like, oh, I'm just going to do a flying change. How about if I just do a flying change? So that is an evasion that they can come up with. And it's always important when you're trying to ride shoulder 4 in the canter that you maintain inside leg at the girth and outside leg behind the girth when you're trying to ride your horse in shoulder 4. Good questions. Okay. Deb says, can you please list the aids for canter to walk? And any little tips or tricks to help my sweet mare understand what I'm asking?
Forward and back on a circle in the canter, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. And then when she starts to anticipate the back, then you take that and step into the walk.
Yes. You can also do a 10-meter circle as setup. So you can do like a canter, 10-meter circle, walk right as you come to the rail and kind of.
Right. If you do that, I will do that. And that last, so 90% of it is a circle, but the last 10% is a straight line heading straight for the wall.
And then you use the wall to help bring your horse back.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that walk canter comes before canter walk. because canter walk is more difficult. So the better your walk to canter transitions, that's going to help to build up strength in your horse's hind end. And then it's normal that the canter walk transition might take a couple more months until your horse is
stronger. And then the other
one
I do on the circle is I do trot, halt, trot, halt, trot, walk, canter.
Yeah, that's a good idea to work on your halt transitions.
Right, because that way the horse is getting a little bit more engagement. And so then I go from the trot, halt, then trot, walk. And as soon as I'm walking, right to the canter, because the horse is already kind of thinking about going forward because we've been halting and trotting.
All right, Joan has a question. Can you use only your seat to cue the canter?
Yes, you can. You can train a horse to do anything, but you better be really good.
Why do you say that?
Well, because it's more difficult.
And because there's a high likelihood that your horse will anticipate. Yeah. So, like, I think if I have the ideal aid for canter, I put my outside leg just a little bit behind the girth. I close my inside leg with just slight amount of pressure, and then I shift my hips.
Right. The big cue is my hip swinging, but the placement of my legs really helps the horse understand.
And I don't think I've ever, like, if you look at the Olympic level riders doing their tempi changes, you always see their legs move for the tempi changes a little bit, right? It's not this like huge thing, but you can see those legs. Of them. Yes, the not good ones, but even the best riders, like even Carl Hester, Ingrid Klimke, you see left lead, right lead, like you see the legs move. So, I mean, I feel like if the Olympic level riders are cueing very slightly with their legs for the canter, then you probably should be too. Diane is asking, how do you start your youngsters in the canter?
In the usual way. With the youngsters, it's they let you know when the balance is right. And plus, they're young and they're exuberant, and you can feel them wanting to go. You let them go. You put your aid, and they go.
Okay. I would say that I always like to make sure my young horses can canter on the lunge line comfortably with the saddle first. I think that's a good step. And then normally with a young horse, though, I let them kind of trot faster and faster, and then just gradually go up into the canter. Like with that older horse, it's more like sit, half halt, round, ask for canter.
But as you talk about lunging, right? But when I lunge, I'd use the voice commands.
That helps too.
And so when I'm in the saddle, I use the voice commands.
That's a question. Okay, Cindy has a question. When you canter on a circle, should one seat bone be weighted more than the other?
What do you think?
Slightly more weight on the inside seat bone.
But it's not constant.
I think in the canter, it's always a little more weight on the inside.
Well, you're not always pushing them out. There's a moment where you got to ride the straight and the bend. Plus, the horse isn't, I mean, more so in the trot. The trot kind of goes side to side. But in the canter, there's a bit of that as well that you have to allow for.
But okay, so it's not a huge thing, but I would say in the canter, if it's like normal, if you're trotting down the center line, it's 50-50 on both your seat bones.
Yeah.
If you're cantering down the long side, I would say it's 55-45 or maybe 52-48.
Yeah, I mean,
like there's a little more weight on, but it's not like you're keeling over to the inside, but there is slightly more weight on the inside seat bone. By the way, guess what? In May, we are doing a 30 days to canter challenge. So if you're excited about the 30 days to canter challenge, let us know in the chat. We better get cracking on making our content for the 30 days to canter. But this is good because we're getting a lot of ideas from tonight. So let me see. Next question. Oh, creating more jump. We already talked about that. Staying round in the canter transitions. By the way, I should put here, I have a step-by-step how to get your horse round in the canter guide. I'll try and find that link and put it in the chat. If you're interested in that course, how do you keep your horse round in the canter?
Ride forward and supple.
In the canter transition specifically.
Well, there I may have to take him a little deep in the trot. If I know that
Yes.
he's going to come up, I might make him a little deeper in the trot. Make sure that I'm suppled on the outside, and then bring the bend around the inside leg and then go. But it's a lot about the balance and a supple neck.
Yeah. And I also think that using the patterns and the figures, like the ice cream cone into the circle, which is Herman's video from this week, that's a good exercise. The snowman is a really good exercise to keep your horse round in the canter. Like the worst place to ask for canter is when you're just on a straightaway, like going down
Right, that's the
long.
hardest place to do it, which that's why they put it in the test. You need to get it for, if you look at the test, right? At training level, they're on the circle. At first level, they're on the diagonal.
Yeah. So, okay. Lori's asking, how do you teach your horse collected canter?
So like if you look at the test, right, in first level, there's that the working canter into that 15-meter circle. That's how you start it, right? Go, come back. Then when you make that 15-meter circle, then you start thinking, okay, 12-meter circle. This horse will do collection because it has to get that circle shape. And so you ride a bigger canter, you ride that circle. What your aids will be to make that circle will start to teach the horse, oh, I have to do this canter when my rider's doing those aids that you did on the circle. Then you take the circle away, still apply the aids, you get your collected canter.
I also like walk canter transitions. That's one of the best ways to introduce collected canter, because to do a walk canter, you want to feel them sit down behind and then lift up through their back and through their shoulder into the canter. And that's a great exercise to strengthen the hind end. And it's easier to get that feeling of collection from the walk at first than it is necessarily from a more forward canter. Although I also like your exercise as well.
Right. I always worry about the horses then not, because when you do the canter walk, right, then all of a sudden now I'm seeing people with their horses all backed up.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's my
so do both. But that's training, right? It's like you do one exercise and then you start having a problem and you have to change the exercise and do something different. And that's where, it's helpful to have expertise or have lessons. So I put the link in there, my step-by-step round and canter guide. Debbie says she got it. So awesome. I'm glad that you liked it. Next question, is from Betsy. And I know that Betsy is here tonight. So Betsy's asking, can you talk about your riding boots, if you have recommendations, or soft stuff or soft brand? So what kind of riding boots do you like?
What am I in now?
Petries? I think we both are in Petries. But our tall boots are very stiff, not so nice to break in.
I like them stiff.
Why do you like them stiff?
Because they make me, my leg is quiet and I don't have to worry about my ankle, and it's just, my leg is there.
Yes. So the benefit of the stiffness is that it helps to stabilize your leg, right? Like that's why the boots are stiffer, but they are a pain to break in at first. So yeah. Anyways, no pain, no gain. Jody says, my off-the-track thoroughbred keeps his head down in a canter. I have no control or brakes. Best way of correcting both of us, please.
Say again.
Off-the-track thoroughbred keeps his head down in the canter, but has no control or brakes. So I would say bend. You have to teach your horse to bend. That's not a good thing.
When the horse puts his head down, that could be too low.
Yes.
And so he's
like hiding.
Right. He's hiding. So I would, without seeing him, I think you want to get that head up, at least in a horizontal balance, so that when you apply aids, they actually transfer back to the hind end, and not when you apply an aid, he gets low and then curls. I mean, that's how I understand that, because I've seen that. They go low, you apply an aid, and they just stick their head between their knees, and now you're like on a bowling ball.
Not a good feeling.
Not, not give. So anyway, I think you want to get his head up.
Yes.
I think you want to get his head up and then go to
Agreed.
work on some circles and some transitions on that circle, but don't let him put his head down. What's
Okay.
that thing, right? If the horse wants to put his head down, you put it up. If he wants it up, you put it down.
Next question is from Patty. She has a Frisian with a big walk, but his canter seems to be in slow motion. Hard to get it quicker in the back and not such big strides. What do we recommend for Patty?
Short, fast, lots of transitions. Speed that boy up.
That's what I was going to say. Lots and lots of transitions.
And you've got to be sparky.
Like trot 5 steps, canter. Trot 5 steps, canter. You've scared the dog.
I've scared the dog.
The dog got sparky. I don't know if you noticed, but when you snapped your fingers, Levi got up off the couch
he came over
thought,
to make sure I was
"Oh,
calm.
I better,
I better go make my owner calm because he's doing that thing where he gets all excited and I need to calm him down.
Yes.
That's his job.
Whenever Herman gets excited teaching a lesson, Levi climbs up and sits
in my lap. And it's like, you need to calm down, which is probably better for the horses and the riders because I'm not. Anyway, so back to your Frisian. Like when you go and you get canter walk, say, or you go canter trot, you want to like do 2 steps and back to the canter. And canter 5 steps and then back to the trot and 2 steps and bang and just bang and bang and bang because he's got to get quicker.
Okay, Lisa says my horse surges when you ask him to canter. Since I'm already nervous about cantering, it doesn't help. I've had experience. Should I just circle him every time? What do you recommend for a horse that surges and you're nervous?
So the nervous makes me think there might be some grabbing of the reins. And so then the horse is feeling the seat leg aid for canter, but he knows he's going to get it in the mouth. And so you're getting that reaction. So I know this might be absolutely totally incorrect, but give him the outside rein. Do it on a circle and allow that outside rein when you make the canter so he doesn't accidentally bang into the bit. I know you should really hold the outside rein and give the inside, but just try it.
That's a good suggestion. I also recommend, again, if your horse kind of surges, ask right as you come towards the rail or going into a corner. That's when I'm on like a young or a new horse I don't really know.
Yeah, going into the first corner, not the second corner
Yeah.
when they have all that open space outwards. So if you're thinking about a circle, you want to do it on the open end of the circle. Let's say you're down at the end of your arena. You want to do it on the open end of the circle coming back into the corner.
Yes. Okay, one more question in the chat here. How do you teach a horse to keep himself slow and to make the cue from the legs and the seat? Good question. If your horse wants to rush.
So to deal with the rushing, to make it, you've got to supple the neck.
You can't pull.
You've got to make
that will
the
make them
neck
go
loose, right? Because it's about the balance, right? And so if your horse is stiff and heavy in the neck and braced, he's on the forehand. To some degree, he's on the forehand. He's not carrying the weight behind. The suppleness creates a situation where the horse has to be on 4 legs because he cannot be on your hands. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing. You can't hold them up. They've got to be supple and in balance. And balance, the name for balance is just self-carriage. Then you start doing transitions within the gait. And those transitions, you have to think seat, leg, and then hands. If you've got that backwards and you're thinking about your hands, it'll never go well.
Yes. And also counting can be really helpful, like counting the tempo of the trot, making sure that you are in control of that. And then whenever your horse wants to go faster, turn onto a smaller circle to help slow them down. That's like the best way. Like Herman said, if you just pull on both reins, your horse is going to get faster and faster. Oh, there's so many questions about cantering. Okay, Samantha. Hi, Samantha from Texas. So slow collected canter. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but I think circles, spiraling it out.
Right.
Walk
so you
canter
make your
transitions.
You're making a 20-meter circle. You just descending and ascending circles in and out and in and out. And on that circle, ride a medium canter on this 20-meter circle. Ride the medium. on the circle, and then you spiral that circle in, and then the canter comes back, and as soon as the canter come back, you go, and as soon as it goes, you bring the circle in. You have to work your horse like an accordion.
Yeah.
And again, it's balance. It can't be heavy in your hands. The horse has to be supple and in balance, because if it's not in balance, none of these exercises will work. Because as you go, they go more on your hands. And then you pull to slow down and they go behind your leg. And then you push them back on. No, your horse has to be supple in the neck and in balance. And then these things work.
And collection is about getting your horse on the hind end. And that means that they need to be on your seat and soft in the hand. Because if in the collection they're leaning into the rein, then most certainly they're going onto the forehand. And collection, remember, collection takes a long time for them to develop the strength to carry that collection. It's a different set of muscles. And so it happens over time. Like it takes a long time. For example, my horse Kensington, her mom helped me with him the other day, which was really fun. But I've been training him consistently now for 5 years, and he's just now like starting to really carry the weight and like really do the piaffe and really stay on his hind legs, and that's carrying over into like
it took 2
really
years to
good
get
collecting.
the canter straightened out.
Yeah.
Because he
So
was always halfway down the arena. You'd ask for canter, and he'd be halfway down the arena in 3 strides.
yeah, because he had a
He
huge
just had
canter.
huge canter that he couldn't get it small and balanced.
Right.
And he just these huge.
Yeah.
Asked for the canter, and poof, he was a B.
Right. And so it's important to remember that it's a process, and that
it is a
takes
process.
time,
It's not like you press the collect button. Oh, I've done the right thing. Yeah, you got to do the right thing for, I don't know, ever.
It's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym once and then you're fit.
And then look like Arnold.
Right. Okay. One last question from Crassy. So, hi, Crassy. She said, wouldn't it be appropriate to introduce Canter for her off the track thoroughbred who's a little stiff and lazy? He demonstrated willingness to supple yesterday. Good. I'm glad he's feeling better. So, I mean, it's always.
So did he have a health thing?
No, he's just getting back into work. I mean, I would say that, Crassy, you really want your trot to be good before you canter. So you want to feel confident in the trot. Like you can get your horse forward, you can get your horse round, you can steer, your horse is staying relaxed. The better your trot, the better your canter is going to be. So I think that's like how I determine it. Like, okay, if I feel like I have a good trot, if I'm feeling confident as my horse is relaxed, then yeah, go up to the canter. Because the canter is, I don't know about you, but I think the canter is my favorite gait to ride, and the canter really helps your horse loosen up in their back. And so I think if, as quick as you can get to the canter, the better. Right?
I think so.
Yes.
I think and like with Incognita, it's a lot of canter. And it really makes the trot better.
Yeah.
So
all right.
I hope that was helpful.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I think Nicole will be here on Thursday. Apparently, we're not going to be here. And she's like, I'm going to come to your house and do a Facebook Live. So maybe Nicole will be here next Thursday.
Awesome.
But I hope you all have some plans to enjoy your family, your horses.
Unless, of course, you don't live in the United States, then happy working day.
Yes. I know Canada's Thanksgiving was like several weeks ago. But
some don't.
Anyways, Levi is grumbling at us because it's his dinner time. So we